Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
I'm rested.
Everyone, we're getting after it. It's Saturday morning.
Hell
it's
yeah.
not even late out.
Look
and
at
we're
that.
already like, hey, we got to accomplish stuff today.
Fuck yeah.
We're going to post about it on LinkedIn later. Don't you worry about it.
Immediately.
But, everyone out there who's like, oh, I'm sleepy. I'm in bed. Some people are out here getting after it. Getting after it.
And after it on a Saturday.
I'm John.
I'm Pre.
What are we doing?
We're out here at the Low Ceiling.
Low Ceiling Studios.
One
Happy,
of the more
2025 to everybody. I think I've said that for the last 3 episodes.
Hell yeah.
But it's still 2024.
We made it.
And it really feels like 2024 because we saw Kraven the Hunter last night or the other night. And
wow.
Yeah.
Look,
let's just say we were like, hey, if it's fun and joyous despite being bad, we'll do it on the pod. Guess what? You get to hear it now because that movie's neither fun nor joyous.
Yeah, we're not going to do a whole episode on Kraven. So
very bad. I think everyone knows that by now. Yeah. But
I just think it's so funny. I saw this podcast by the New Yorker, the title that said 2024 is a year of failures. It was critics at large. They talked about how nothing worked this year, from presidencies to, movies not doing well to, it was like...
I didn't listen to that pod, but I don't know if I agree with that with films. There was a lot of tremendously successful films.
True.
And movies fail every year.
For the big ones that we thought might do bigger or better.
Well, hold on though. I don't know. Did they mention Kraven the Hunter?
You know what? That's what we're here for. Thanks for nothing, the New Yorker. This is why you need the Low Ceiling.
Because can I draw a comparison? Kraven the Hunter, bad, not good, didn't make enough money. Sony was like, all right, we're about done here now with Spider-Man verse.
Yeah.
Venom: The Last Dance, tremendously successful. So
okay,
and honestly, only a moderately better film than Kraven the Hunter.
Okay,
so,
yeah. 2024
know.
Really just bookended by fucking Madam Web at the start, and now Kraven at the end.
Do you want to hear my thoughts on 2024?
Yeah,
we don't have to. Well, we might talk. We'll obviously talk more about it during the Academy Awards and stuff. I don't think this year there has been any truly great film.
No.
Released. Remember when we saw Tar?
Yeah.
I love Tar, but I said, and I'll amend what I said, but I was like, Tar is the first film I've seen this decade that will be on the best of the end of the decade for people. Like the best of the decade, top 10. I truly believe that about Tar. It's one of the best movies released this year. I would amend that by saying, like, I kind of think Dune 1 will also be.
Okay.
Because despite Dune 2 being released this year, I still don't think there has been any truly great release in 2024. Right. I think there's been lots of really good ones, and we haven't seen Nosferatu yet.
True.
But nothing that I'm like, that's going to stand the test of time as like an incredible work of cinema.
Yeah, at least not one that's been talked about too much, but we saw Red Rooms pretty recently.
Right, but no one's going to talk about that.
No one's going to talk about that. That's what I'm saying. Like
it's from Quebec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not a real place, as we've established.
And as far as people know, that might as well be Mongolia. But I'm saying that because I was hoping Kraven the Hunter would be on. No, I'm just kidding. Kraven the Hunter is very bad, yeah. And it was a film that, like, we love J.C. Chandor. At least I love J.C. Chandor.
Yes, of course.
And I don't want to. Okay, obviously I'm biased, and I don't want to be like, he's blameless in this, because like I think that would be disingenuous to believe that he didn't have a part in it. But it didn't feel like much. He had a lot of, felt like the film was wrenched in too many different directions that weren't his choice. Because when by the time we got to the end, after a tidal wave of really poor writing, I was like, if this was written by J.C. Chandor, I will amend how I feel about him. And it wasn't. He did not write this film, and it's a very poorly written movie.
You know how I know he didn't write this film? Because my absolute favorite line in the movie is when Calypso, the actress, says, "My grandma died shortly after, and I haven't heard from her since."
I never saw her again.
I haven't heard from her since.
Like, no shit. Yeah. It's full of lines like that. As I said, as we were leaving, about 50% of the film seems to have been rewritten in voiceover. Like, not voiceover, but I mean like dubbing. Like, there's so many moments that are like huge, like big emotional and or plot moments that are shot in a medium with the characters facing away from the camera so that they can say the expositionary thing that needs to move us to the next scene. And it's so bad. And I will say, though, there are moments I thought were like good and interesting, but they're very few and far between. But yeah, it's a very bad movie.
You know who never faces away from the camera? Alessandro Nivola.
Oh, Alessandro Nivola is the best part of the film.
Rhino. Yeah. My God.
Yeah.
Every time he made a weird noise, if I took a shot, I would have died from alcohol poisoning.
Yeah.
And then you would have to resuscitate
He's great. I love him in this movie.
He's so fucking bonkers, dude.
One of my favorite lines is like when he's talking to the brother, Dimmy, and he's like, "Do you remember me?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "That's okay. I had different hair back then." That explains like...
This is why every review online about this movie is, do you think this movie made $1 quadrillion?
Yeah.
There's no way to know.
Yeah.
There's no way to know yet.
Yeah, it's sad.
Well, because it's like we got up from our seats at the cinemas and the first thing I said was, this was like Twilight Deluxe.
Yeah.
Every running scene of Kraven in the forest is just fucking get on my back, spider monkey.
I thought like some of those like chase sequences and stuff were kind of cool and fun.
Yeah.
I think unfortunately, like I talked a lot about the trailer. Everything good is essentially in the trailer. So like you never really everything in between is quite poor.
I know.
But like the one I always think about it, and it is in the trailer, that I do think is like genuinely fun and creative, is when that guy gets his foot caught in the trap and it drags him towards that wood splitter thing.
Yeah, holy shit.
And it just like blows him apart. Like that stuff is very fun. But yeah, it was there's too many problems to really expound upon, and it wouldn't be fun to do an episode on it. So you're getting a little mini-sode.
You know what?
Here.
I bet it's going to be more fun to watch it at home. You do feel a little trapped at the cinemas with a movie like this, where
when you can't like check out from the really
you
bad
can't like
scenes,
turn to your friend, make a joke. You can't participate with this film.
Yeah,
watch it at home like you all did with Madam Web, and it'll be a less gruesome experience
for your soul. Yeah.
Calypso.
Yeah. Anyway, that lady was terrible, unfortunately. Yeah. In other news, more important pod-related news.
Yeah.
I started playing the Uncharted series.
Oh my God.
I started playing the first game. It is so old it feels like torture a little bit, but
Sick.
I'm a weird completionist. Or I was thinking about that while I was playing it because it's like interesting, but not that like enjoyable. But I'm like, yeah. Couple hours.
So just like the movie then?
It's actually might be more enjoyable than the film, to be perfectly honest.
Damn.
But I was like, why do I do this? Like, why am I'm not like genuinely enjoying myself.
Yeah, dude.
But I was like, I don't know. I'll just see how it ends and figure it out. So I'll keep everyone abreast of that. I'm sure they're all really concerned. By the time I finish, maybe Uncharted 2 will be out, and then we can talk about that movie, which was, I gotta say, better than Kraven.
All they needed was a little Tom Holland in Kraven. Should just be, "Oh, gee, Mr. Stark."
Yeah. I'm the hunter.
Hey, fellas. I'm out here hunting.
They call me the hunter. Once you get on my list, you never get off. Tom, I don't want to be on your list, Tom. How do I get off your list? Tell me. I need to get off your list. You eyeballing me, Tom?
Mark Wahlberg, I would never do that to you.
Mark, you can't get off the list. Oh boy! So
Kraven.
That was a disastrous viewing experience we had.
Hell, yeah,
it
was great.
But today we're talking about a film. Now I got a little quiz for you today.
Oh my God!
I'm talking about a movie. Which great luminary filmmaker once said this was one of his favorite films of the last couple of years?
Tarantino.
No.
Oh fuck.
No, Tarantino. This is too much like Tarantino. Tarantino likes everything that is like nothing like his shit.
And what did he say? That he loved this movie?
He said it was very well directed and it's become one of his favorite films. He said this about 10 years ago in a talk. A rare appearance by this filmmaker.
Steven Spielberg.
No, no. Steven Spielberg never shuts up.
Steven Spielberg has...
I could fucking interview Spielberg today if I just like put the feelers out, you know?
Who said it?
No, Terrence Malick.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Which the irony is like you immediately went to Tarantino, who this film is casually sort of ripping off in some ways. This film couldn't be further from a Terrence Malick film ever.
I know.
We're talking Joe Carnahan's 2006 action masterpiece, Smokin Aces. A film we've talked about a lot in the past.
This movie fucking rips.
Yes.
I love it.
I as you know, I really like this movie a lot. I think it's really sadly underrated and kind of lost to time a little bit.
Yeah.
Got really bad reviews. And for, you know, like I think for comparisons to Tarantino and Guy Ritchie, and I got to say, all right, if we're taking Guy Ritchie's work side by side in 2006, this is a better film than any film Guy Ritchie has ever made.
Hey, now.
It is.
That's crazy
it is,
talk.
Yes.
At least it's less contrived.
Oh, I think this movie is heavily contrived.
For Guy Ritchie, I'm saying. Typically,
Guy Ritchie is less contrived.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie is contrived of like Tarantino and Guy Ritchie put together and a little bit of other extra spice. But this movie's fucking, it rules.
It's just so fun.
It's too enjoyable to be bad in a way. Like it's hard to notice the bad parts because you're like, yeah, but every scene is 15 seconds long. I'm just moving. It's like a TikTok video of violent
That's
shit
exactly
happening.
it.
Yeah.
That's exactly
it.
it.
And a Karate Kid getting a boner. Yeah.
For the longest time, I thought we were watching The Losers.
What is that?
Because I have a vague memory of that fucking movie with, Chris Evans, with
my God,
lady from Colombiana,
Zoe Saldana.
Yes, thank you. And
what movie
another movie with like 6 dudes and a lady who like, hey, shooting up.
Is DJ Qualls in it?
My God, but it's basically like the same coloring too. And for the longest time, I was like, wait, there's Chris Pine in this, but where's Chris Evans? And so it took me a second to, get it together. But like Idris Elba, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Good God.
Who directed this film? What are you talking about?
It's directed by Sylvain White. Sorry.
He sounds like he's from Quebec.
Sylvain White, who also did Stomp the Yard.
Of course. What do you know?
And I'll always know what you did last summer.
What was that? There's like I remember listening to this. A comedian is really obsessed with this bit, or was really obsessed with this bit, and they played it on his podcast a bunch. Where he was like, there's like a clip from the trailer from Stomp the Yard, where the main character is like walking through this like historically black university or in college or whatever, and there's people stomping the yard, and he's like, "What are they doing?" And the guy's like, "They're stomping the yard. Where are you from?" So that one thing is like ingrained in my memory.
That's your only connection to this film.
That movie was like, did you have much connection to like that time in the 2000s when there was like Step Up 2, Step Up Revolution, Stomp the Yard, Drumline, or all this kind of like,
my God, you kidding me? Yes.
Save the Last Dance is like a romantic version of it, but like did you watch all those films?
Save the Last Dance is very much just like Crawl on the Yard. Yeah, 100%. I was all about those films. Look, Moose, what a staple in our household. We do love talking about him. And I think a lot of Timbaland was in these films.
Timbaland? The producer?
The producer's music.
His music.
Yeah.
Well, he produced fucking everybody.
Hell
he produced Steven Spielberg for
actually.
At that time. He had his dirty little fingers in everyone's stuff. I in high school, I dated a girlfriend, one of my first girlfriends. She was like into dance basically. So we watched all of these movies.
Hell yeah.
And like they're all like John, what's his face? The Wicked director. He did like Step Up 2 and stuff. Mm-hmm. And like, they're all like visually impressive 2-hour music videos.
Nice.
And like, but the in-between stuff is just so interminable that it's just like, and like the actors are also often just like bad. Yeah.
It's so funny, dude, because
It's an incredible genre, though.
I'm watching The Resident now on Netflix, just throwing that shit on.
With our guy from Good Fight.
Yes, and
Matt Zuckery.
more importantly, it's got the girl from Step Up, Channing Tatum's ex-wife, Jenna something. She was in the movie with Channing Tatum in one of those dance films.
The second one, I believe, was Tatum's big debut.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
after coming off of Coach Carter.
Oh my God, that's right. I forget about baby Tatum in Coach Carter. So she's so you know, God, I forget her name, but the dancer lady is in The Resident as a medical sales rep.
Mm-hmm.
Every time she's on screen, they give her a line where she has to say, "Oh, I had a hip replacement because I was a dancer." Every other scene, it's like, here's a picture of me doing ballet as a child.
It's a sequel to Step Up.
Jesus Christ. She's in the operating room with a mask on and her like gown and everything. She's like, I learned that in dance school. I'm a creative. I'm an artist. It fucking blows my mind every time. She's like, I could get this scalpel if I could do a pirouette over there, but I can't right now. So can you please hand me a scalpel, nurse? Thank you. Fuck yes.
Yeah. I pretty much wrote that show. That's amazing. But anyway, Smokin Aces does not belong to this genre, this subgenre of films. It's the Assassin's version of Drumline, basically.
This movie, this is the first thing I wrote down, is that this movie feels like a toilet water energy drink commercial.
Yeah.
It's the coloring.
It's an unabashedly, like, and I read this, like, Peter Travers from Rolling Stone, he like gave it a pretty good review, despite like lots of people were like, this movie sucks. It's a ripoff of Tarantino, therefore I hate it.
Oh, shut up.
But like, exactly, right?
Yeah.
I kind of find that criticism to be like, when people like pay homage, and here's the other thing too. Everyone points out that it's like a ripoff of Tarantino, it's a ripoff of Guy Ritchie. And like I just said, frankly, Guy Ritchie hadn't been making very good films up until then. I really don't believe any of his movies were like worth talking about. I think this movie is on par with his best films. Mm-hmm. But people are like, oh, it's like a ripoff of this, whatever. But like, it's silly because when people do well by wearing their influences on their sleeves, everyone is just like, oh, what an homage, you know? Yeah. And then when people like kind of fuck it up and don't do great, people are like, that person should be shot into the sun for besmirching the name of a filmmaker who doesn't give a shit. Like, I'm sure Tarantino doesn't fucking care.
No, he would have loved it.
Tarantino's probably seen this movie and he was probably like, whatever, like, I don't care, right? I'm sure he has an opinion on it because him and Spielberg never shut the fuck up.
Spielberg's a huge junkie for Smokin Aces.
Spielberg was like, you know, Smokin Aces was a huge influence on War Horse. I've never seen War Horse.
No.
But like it's kind of like I think this movie is fun and unique and stupid and it has a sensibility to it, but it's also like unabashedly like a dude's film. It's a very dude film.
Oh
coded,
yeah.
You know.
Even when with the scenes with the ladies, it's very much a dude film.
Yeah, like, but also there's not a lot of like, I didn't read a lot of old reviews because I didn't want to read just people being like, oh, this sucks. I read the Travers one, which was pretty good. Like he was like that's what he said. He was like, it's so quick paced. It's kind of, it's like pointless to even try to figure out what's like bad about it. This story is convoluted. The ending comes out of nowhere, but I really enjoyed it just for what it is.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people's reviewers from Reddit, there's a lot of subreddits. I mean, a lot of Reddit posts being like, "We're like, this movie is like way better than I thought it would be," and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude.
And then every single one of them is appended with also Alicia Keys is incredibly hot in this film.
She's so good in this.
So beautiful. And I do think she's good too.
She's a good actor.
And some people also said, I read some people being like, oh, Common is really bad. I don't think he's
bad.
No, I think this is actually
probably
all right.
Definitely good. I think Common...
It's his film debut.
Oh, dude, he's so good
I think
for
he's
that.
Pretty fucking good in this film, actually.
He should do more... Is he in John Wick? Right?
Yeah.
I think he did a great job in John Wick 2. Mm-hmm. And he
doesn't play John Wick, though. That's a different rapper.
That's John Wick.
Yeah, that's a different rapper.
That's a different rapper, Keanu Reeves, who plays John Wick. No, I, for the longest time, thought this movie might be, like, very corny. Like, it might turn into, like...
It is.
A goofy... like, stereotype of, like, how black people talk and how they interact with... Common came in and just fucking... I feel like he was there for maybe 10 minutes total.
Common
and he steals the scene
Common
every
actually
time.
Common and Reynolds have the most emotional weight in the film, in my opinion.
Oh.
I think they do the most with what they like. The thing is, the film is divided among so many storylines that it's hard to find the emotional truth in any of these characters.
Yeah.
But I truly think Reynolds is good in this. He's coming off of Van fucking Wilder,
Dude.
but
Man, he used to be able to act, huh?
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds
him
so
and
good
Common,
in this.
him and Common have the most kind of scenes that make you feel anything.
Definitely.
In that when Common knows he's going to get betrayed by Piven.
Absolutely.
And Reynolds is like, you can understand. It's like he never got told what was going to happen. And his mentor and like the guy he looks up to is like mercilessly killed.
Ugh.
And he's like Reynolds is excellent in this film. I really think so.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And what a surprise, because if I had seen this as a younger person, I would have enjoyed it even more.
Yeah.
I feel like now watching it in my 30s.
But you're too busy watching fucking Step Up 9 and fucking
For the
Drumline
8th time.
3 and fucking,
true.
yeah, all these other...
I'm getting my steps in.
You're stepping up.
This is how I do it.
Before we get further, can we talk about the plot? Because the plot is the thing, but it's also like complicated and crucial.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Ryan Reynolds and Ray Liotta play FBI agents. They are doing surveillance on Primo Speranza, this like mob boss guy, and they overhear about this plot to kill Primo Speranza. To kill Buddy Aces Israel, who is a magician in Las Vegas, and take his heart. Buddy Aces Israel, he's kind of like has this what's the name? They say it, the Sinatra thing, where he gets kind of mobbed up. Oh. No, like he's like part of the mafia, and he's doing crime while also being an entertainer.
Yeah.
Played by Piven. He's a complete asshole. Piven is also very good in this film. And he's holed up in Lake Tahoe trying to work out a plea deal with the FBI, and his entourage includes Joel Egerton, Beanie, the actor I don't know his name, and Common Ivy. Mm-hmm. All he's doing in Lake Tahoe is sniffing coke and ordering prostitutes to his hotel room.
So great.
And hanging out, waiting for the plea deal to get worked out by his lawyer, played by Curtis Armstrong in a small cameo. He's very good in this. Essentially, he's going to give up Primo Speranza and all this other stuff. He's like a huge deal for the FBI. Primo, back in the day, he had murdered this like big FBI honcho named Freeman Heller. You can already tell where this kind of comes out of nowhere. I heard a really good, not to skip ahead or anything, but I heard a really good criticism of this movie, which I agree with, but also I don't care because it's still enjoyable. But someone was like, it's two movies squished together. One doesn't have an ending and the other one doesn't have a beginning.
Yeah, it's Ocean's 12 and Bullet Train.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But the twist at the end is kind of like, it feels kind of just smash into a film that totally doesn't feel like it needs a twist, but I would argue it does need a twist. So he has all this evidence. Primo puts $1 million bounty on Israel's head, and there is about 1 billion interested parties who are contract killers who want to kill him. They are the Swede, the quote-unquote Swede, is been contracted to take his heart. That's what we know at this point. Laszlo Soot, who is like a master of disguise, played by Tommy Flanagan, the Scottish actor with the big ass scar on his face.
So great.
He's fantastic.
He rules.
He says like 2 things in this film, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
Because he's just his face. I love it. Charisse in Georgia, played by Academy Award winner, what's her name?
Alicia. No. Tara G.P. Henson.
Tara G.P. Henson, right.
Yeah.
And Alicia Keys. Georgia is going to dress up like a prostitute. Tara G.P. Henson is going to shoot people with a huge gun. Pasquale Acosta, played by Nestor Carbonell. He's just like a psychopath. Like he's like a yeah.
Not all there.
Yeah, he has a couple really great scenes. The Tremor brothers, who are neo-Nazi crazies, headed by Chris Pine. So Pine got involved in this film after Michael Shannon was fired.
No.
And the word from IMDb is that Joe Carnahan fired Michael Shannon because Michael Shannon was rude to a costume designer.
Well.
And then he got Chris Pine like...
He seems the type.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And,
Michael Shannon's like, I'm going to really take this whole neo-Nazi thing to heart.
And Chris Pine seems like the guy who'd be like, ma'am, your costumes are beautiful.
Yeah.
Please put them on me.
You know what? Tell me
Yeah.
about them. I'm
Can
sitting
you-
here for the next 4 hours.
Can you make the swastika a little bigger, please? I'll be in Don't Worry, Darling later. It'll be the biggest misstep in my career. Someone will spit in my lap.
He's so good.
And I'll play Jordan Peterson or whatever. Yeah.
This is the only time I've seen him do some fucking wacky role where he doesn't just play a pretty boy.
It's an interesting sliding doors thing where it's like, what could Chris Pine's career could have been?
Yeah.
But I think that's what makes Chris Pine the most interesting Chris is,
Definitely.
You're like, there's a little weirdness beneath this like very pretty good looking guy who's a fantastic actor.
Oh, yeah.
But like, especially me having seen this film along with the 30 other people who've ever seen it, knowing that he had this like kind of thing in him where he's like a weirdo, but like a lot of his scenes when Chris Pine gets to like talk in this movie, which is like two scenes.
Yeah.
It's actually really like he's so good.
He's really good.
The one where he's like he's manipulating Ben Affleck's mouth and he's like, "I'm sorry,
dead Ben Affleck.
I'm sorry, Darwin." It's like, oh man, I really appreciate that. It's like and then when he's on the parking structure with Hollis and he's like,
yeah,
I'm really sorry about that. He's like pointing to his blown up fingers. So good. So yeah, things just go a little crazy. Yeah, he's so good. He could have done so many things, and he has done so many things.
I fully agree.
The final, speaking of Ben Affleck in the greatest role in this film plays Jack Dupree, a bail bondsman who's being paid to bring Israel into the or to whoever, whatever, and he's joined by Pistol Pete Deeks, who is played by writer, director, actor Pete Berg.
Yeah.
And Martin Henderson played Hollis Elmore, the other bondsman. Who's another thing I do love about it is like Pete Berg and his like weird rivalry arguments where he's just like, what is with your fucking attitude? Like, you don't want to do this? It's so funny. Yeah.
And the guy from Virgin River is in this for some reason. He's the Chris Pine of TV.
Who?
The guy who gets his fingers blown up.
Martin Henderson.
Yeah.
He's good in this. I like it. He has he gets involved in like the most insane storyline, but
what a surprise, shock to me, because I didn't think he'd live out compared to Ben Affleck and the others. I thought.
Did you think that he would be like accosted by a karate kid teenager who didn't take his Ritalin and gets a boner when he's like showing off his karate moves? Was that something you thought would happen in this film or any film, to be frank? Do you think that's Terrence Malick's favorite part of the movie?
That may be. The whole Adderall thing,
Yeah.
Very inspired. Love it.
That kid, who's amazing. He's probably like, I don't know, fucking Nicholas Hoult now.
Dude, that kid should be fucking McLovin in Superbad.
He's, you know what? If I looked him up, I bet I would be like, oh, I've seen him in other shit, right? But like the part where he's like, Hollis is in the bath and he's like just licking an ice cream sandwich and then he throws it in the bath. It's like such a dick. That scene, I thought when I remember when we watched this movie again. So I've seen this movie so many times. I used to have it on DVD. It's one of those. When we watched it again the other day, I was like, oh, I remember this scene. Is it like bad? And then by the end of it, I was like, no, it's very funny. And like, it's so dumb that it's like very funny. But like when the kid is like, his grandma's like, oh, go on, get out of here. He's like, and then he like, they speed up the cut and he's like, he just turns around like karate chops right near his neck. And it's like, I don't know. I find that shit hilarious. It's so fucking funny, man. Anyway,
that kid is the best part of the film. I agree.
No, he's not the best.
He's the best. Who, name one other person?
Ben Affleck.
No, actually.
Speaking of which, so that's all the players who are involved. Ben Affleck and the bondsman, they go to Lake Tahoe with uniforms to try and abduct Israel from his hotel room. They are accosted by the neo-Nazis and murdered right away. Ben Affleck is in this movie for like 5 minutes.
I love it.
It's hilarious.
That's so good.
And he just gets killed. And he's probably the biggest name at this point in this film, besides Leota, maybe.
Jason.
Yeah.
Bateman?
Oh, no, not at this point
not that big.
in their career. But we'll talk. Yeah, Bateman plays an insane role. It's not really plot relevant, but he's amazing.
He plays
also
himself on coke. It's so great.
Yeah, he has a lot of experience with that.
Hey there, bud.
Not to mention also, what's his name? Locke, the FBI director, is Andy Garcia.
Yes,
he's an important role, but he kind of like this movie. The first like 30 minutes are proceeding in this way of like explaining, it's setting up every multiple storyline between Locke and Ben Affleck explaining what's going on, which I think is very wonderfully done. And it's,
it goes on.
It's
so
long.
much longer than you think is relevant that you do forget a lot of it. And then when the scenes kind of play out themselves, you're like, oh, we didn't maybe need all the explanation up front.
I think we did. I think we did. I like it. I really like the first 30 minutes of this film. I think are awesome. Anyway, so the FBI, Reynolds and Liotta, they show up at the hotel. Liotta gets in the elevator with Pasquale Acosta, who has killed the other guy from Lost, Bill, the security chief, and taken his jacket to get to the penthouse. In the elevator, they shoot each other to death after recognizing who they are.
So good.
Georgia, played by Alicia Keys, she's snuck in as one of the sex workers. She ends up getting up the elevator. She gets off and she sees Liotta. She finds Liotta and Acosta almost dead in the elevator, but they're both, and she thinks they're both feds because Acosta said they were both feds. The Tremor brothers make it up to the penthouse and cause all kind of mayhem in the hallway. I should back up because before this, basically, Israel agrees to give up his entire crew. And then him and Common kind of have this, they have like a shootout. Common gets taken by the security. All of the security get murdered by the Tremor brothers.
Love it.
And then Georgia ends up, after getting shot by Acosta, she ends up with Common in like a standoff with Common and Chris Pine. Chris Pine escapes. Common and her go down the fire exit, and that's how they get out. All the meantime, Laszlo Soot has taken the identity of one of the people. It's so complicated.
Taron Egerton.
Joel Egerton. Taron Egerton was 3 years old.
Taron Egerton's a baby.
Joel Egerton playing this like this like Russian weirdo. Laszlo Soot takes his identity and makes a mask and assumes his identity. But yeah, Joel Egerton with this like that's Eastern European jizz.
What a great role for him.
I know. Yeah.
Give him like fewer dialogue and more just crazy costume.
He just like never. Like I didn't know who he was when I first saw this movie, and now he's like a big star.
Yeah,
and it's like like a director and a writer and all this kind of shit. Now he's like a mainstay of like lots of really interesting facets of Hollywood. But yeah, like I was like, I always assumed he was someone who like popped off in like the 2010s, and he did. But I was like, oh yeah, he's been like at this for a really long time. Yeah. Anyway. Israel attempts to commit suicide, but he never goes through with it. The Tremor brothers are mostly dead. Elmore gets taken. He finds his way to that grandma and her hut. He finds a gun. He takes their car. He finds Chris Pine and shoots Chris Pine and kills him. Tremor brothers are all dead. Then basically the FBI ends up finding Israel. They get to the penthouse. They shut everything down. They arrest Soot, and then they get Israel. And Soot escapes at that moment. They take Israel into protective custody because they take him to a hospital. It turns out he's actually the son of Primo Speranza. This is twist number 1.
Dun, dun, dun.
He's the son of Primo Speranza.
The guy who put the bounty on his head.
Yeah. And he wants his heart for a heart transplant because his heart is failing. And twist number 2 is Primo Speranza is actually Freeman Heller, the FBI guy. He assumed his identity.
Come on, man.
And they want to save him to bring down the entire like Cosa Nostra structure because he would have all of this kind of stuff. Ryan Reynolds is not happy about that, and he ends up pulling the plug on both of them and killing them at the end, and that's how the film ends.
So, why?
Huh?
Why was my question when they had to do the whole like twist on the villain being an FBI guy? That's
the flimsiest part of the film. Certainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it turned out like the FBI actually murdered Freeman Heller because he went rogue, kind of, and then Freeman Heller adopted this like this nom de plume as this fucking big mob guy.
Yeah,
right.
He got like 12 facial surgeries. And everything.
He essentially becomes like the head of this mob outfit, and they want to take him for all the evidence he has and all this other shit, and they're willing to kill Israel to do that because he's the bigger prize is Heller.
This whole time, that he's like playing a double agent, wouldn't he have been feeding the FBI all the information
But
anyway?
he wasn't playing a double agent. That's the thing. He got the FBI tried to kill him, and he literally became this like mobster.
Oh,
Again, it's the flimsiest part of the plot of this film.
Okay.
Like if he had quite literally become this mobster, why would he then flip on everybody just because he used to be an FBI agent?
Right.
Like among other things, it's like if he was this mobster for like 40 years. And he had never been arrested or had his fingerprints taken, and then they realize he's the same person. Like, you know, you can dig into it and ask a lot of questions. Yeah. Like maybe he chewed his fingers tips off like Pasquale.
He should have done the same thing.
Yeah, why didn't he?
Num. Yeah. Eat your fingers right by the prison toilet. Num.
The guy Nestor Carbonell, who like is the guy who runs Hostel. Well,
yeah, holy shit, fucking hell.
It's a twist that like it is whatever, but on the other hand, I think here's my defense of the twist. When I saw a lot of criticism being like it feels like you don't need the twist at the end of this film, and my question to that is like, well, what then is this movie about? Is it just about mayhem? What is the story here? Like I think that there needs to be something more to give reason to why all of this mayhem happened, because if you don't have it, then you just have a film that has some like very excellently directed like murder sprees, you know, but that's not really a story.
It still works for me if they brought in Jeremy Piven as like the small fry whose heart is the only match for this big mafia guy.
Yeah,
it's still justifiable that you kill this like entertainer Sinatra type guy to save this bigger mob boss, because you're not really sacrificing a good person. Quote unquote,
but he's in the mob and he has like his health insurance, right? So he should get
should be able to get the. And you know, it's
they're like willingly doing that.
Yeah,
which is like pretty fucked up.
Yeah,
because Israel is still alive. Like it's not like he's brain dead. He just passed out.
Right.
And they're just like, no, we'll keep him under and rip his heart out. You know, like it's pretty fucked up. Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah. Like I think I don't really think of it as like, because first of all, the twist is kind of like strongly telegraphed as the film goes on. And I think the twist works, but it is like not the strongest twist. Like it's not the fucking, I've been dead all along, but I think it works. And I just think without it, the story just has no reason to be. That's all. I think without the twists and turns in the story, you're just kind of like, it's just fucking like, what is this? It's just a formless mass of craziness. and this gives it a little more structure, despite most of the time feeling like a formless mass of craziness.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it was fun as hell. Like
it is.
If someone watches this now and they're like, "Oh, this is actually pretty lame," then you're lame, and that's my critical feedback.
Oh, baby, fucking told him.
I got him.
I think one thing like I said, so I really like the first like 30 minutes. I like the exposition.
Yes.
I think there's Carnahan did like a really good job of making the exposition not boring. Like it is entertaining.
Definitely.
And one thing too, I remember I listened to his commentary back when I had the DVD. One thing I do think is kind of cool, even though it seems pretty on the nose once you recognize it, but like in every sequence, they're all linked together. Every cut is linked together by something, which is kind of cool. Like when there's like sequences like you hear a phone ring and then it cuts and the next sequence someone picks up a phone. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's like fairly normal. Cool. But it's within those, like it's somewhere within the world of one scene A cuts into scene B. It's not like you hear the pre-lap of the phone. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, a phone is ringing in place A and someone picks it up in place B or whatever. Or like when someone says like, you know, $50,000 cut, $50,000. Like it's I really, really think that's kind of cool. And Carnahan did that very like purposefully.
Yeah.
And it strings together, especially that expositional scene, like just so interestingly. And like I think it's very cool.
There's some cool camera work in there too, where in the casino at one point you see every team. that's involved in this movie. All the mercenary groups, like one goes in the elevator, one comes out, and it's
you
like
join another one as
and it's all like part of the same room, kind of. So the way the camera moves around the room to show here's everybody.
Yeah. The also
they're about to go fuck shit up.
The way that like the first third kind of takes you on this expositional like joyride through everything, and then it like slows down for a couple minutes here, and then the way I love the way that they build this tension to this explosive like action sequence, specifically when Charisse, the moment she like first fires the like 50 cal bullet and it like whips the guy across the room, like that stuff is fantastically
Very
filmed,
cool.
and it's like very like satisfyingly cool because it's been like this keg of explosive powder that's like just running into the wick is like about to hit it, and I thought that stuff is like it's really good in this film. You know? Like, I really enjoy that about
Hell
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You could say it's smoking.
Get out. Yeah.
Jeremy Piven, man, you know how I feel about Entourage. I'm
he's great.
the biggest fan in the world of that show.
But isn't he kind of channeling Eli Roth or whatever from Entourage?
Eli Roth from Entourage. Eli Gold.
Eli Gold, yeah.
No, that's from Good Fight.
Yeah.
Ari Gold.
Ari Gold.
But yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he's so just emotionally there when he doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be that good of an actor for this part that he's playing. Like when he chokes up and when he's at the piano just like realizing he's about to die, like what is this Oscar performance?
And like when he's like
what's he doing?
Like we talked about when he's sitting at the piano and he's like flipping the cards out and they're all aces. I don't remember if they said this in the commentary, but like I assume he had to learn a modicum of card magic, which is pretty impressive because like there's some shots that are clearly you could clearly mask as like being someone else with their hands, but there are some too where you're like, that's pretty fucking cool. Like you know, like I don't know. Yeah.
When it's just like an aerial shot. Maybe it's him, maybe it's not. But it's like looking down at the floor. He has a deck of cards in his hand. Every time he flips one out, it's the ace.
But he's using two hands and he's like clapping two parts of the deck together and then flipping out one from the middle.
Yeah,
it's very cool. Like it's I don't know.
Damn.
I think everyone can universally agree that card magic is fucking dope and cool. Everyone thinks magic is fucking awesome.
Well, listen, sleight of hand is cool. I don't know why.
I actually do think it's very cool.
I think it's like it looks like so beautiful to behold.
Yeah. I think card tricks are fucking dope. If I ever went to Vegas, I would go to a magic show.
You'd be about that life.
Yeah.
Hell
I would go see Celine Dion do magic any day. That's what she does down there, right? But yeah, like I think that shit is very cool. And it's cool that he like learned some of that, I suppose, to do this.
Nice.
But
fun fact, the song My Heart Will Go On is about the heart in a card deck. All right. I'm done with that joke.
Thank you. Thanks for telling me when that ended. Yeah.
Your face is just like, I wish to die. I wish to not be here.
I'm trying to talk about cinema here. All right.
Sorry.
I love you, but sometimes I look at you and I'm like, I wish you were Terrence Malick. I wish it was Terrence Malick sitting across from me.
I'm sorry.
I don't think
he would have deeper appreciation for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Terrence Malick could have a real rip-roaring conversation, scene by scene, sequence by sequence of this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. This is a really good movie. I don't know what else to say about it.
Fucking rules. It was so fun to watch, and I didn't, even though I thought it was a different film when it started, because I was like, I've seen.
You're like, no, hardly anyone is dancing.
Where is Zoe Saldana? Maybe she's the other prostitute who comes up at some point. No, it was Chris Pine all along. Real slut.
It's interesting. I was thinking about this when we saw Kraven, and we saw the trailer for that other Ariana DeBose movie that looks better.
Fuck, man, so bad. Love Hurts.
Love Hurts, yeah. But like, I was thinking about how a lot of comedy and action have been subsumed into each other in a way. Whereas like Love Hurts, it like is like an action comedy. And I feel like a lot of those like movies where you have like action movies, John Wick is a great example where they're a little more like lighthearted than they used to. Like this movie can be pretty fucking dark, and I think the tone, they have to lift it up. But like, you know, like even like El Hollis when he like gets shot and his fingers are off. It's like very violent.
Yeah, it's gory.
There's a lot of very gory deaths in this, but also there's a lot of very funny bits in this, a lot of darkly comic stuff. I don't know, like that seemed the exception at the time when this movie came out more, I think. And unless you're talking Guy Ritchie.
Definitely.
You know, because even like Kill Bill 2, speaking of Tarantino, like gets serious. Like the end of it gets serious. Certainly the second half gets serious and it's like very dark. But like, I don't know. It feels like action nowadays is like you have to have it. It's got to be a lot lighter, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and comedy.
Yeah, that's true.
Despite having watched like a really good comedy film yesterday, it almost doesn't exist in the way that we thought of it in the 2000s, where it's like you separate them into, you know, action or comedy, right?
There's like the Rush Hour type films, though. There's that genre.
Those are action comedies.
where they don't have to go into gore at all.
No.
Which is what I think the Love Hurts now is trying to accomplish. It's trying to bring back the like Jackie Chan action comedy vibe of it all.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to think about dialogue, and it doesn't have to give any of the characters any life. Like, who was the lady who played Calypso in Kraven? DeBose, yeah. She can be boring in both of these films. she doesn't.
It's a shame. She's a really good actress.
It's a shame because you give her like the worst lines, and ultimately it's not about her or even about the lead guy. It doesn't matter. It's just about how you choreograph. In Love Hurts, the guy, the
Kiwi Kwan.
Yeah. Yes, who. It's not about these people at all, and you don't have to rally behind them with an action comedy fight movie like this.
Yeah.
It's just about the choreography. It's just about the dance fight.
Like Bullet Train.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And so in that way, it seems like the step up of our time.
Very good. In other pod news, I recently, and never got around to finishing it, but I watched The Fall Guy. And I still have about half an hour left in that movie.
When did you? Oh.
You were out one night. You were out having fun doing whatever.
Out about town.
Probably chilling with Steven Spielberg, talking your ear off. But like, I watched The Fall Guy, and it was good, but at the same time, I was just like, I don't give a shit. You know, like I don't fucking care what happens at the end of this. Who cares? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know what I was getting at, but it felt like in the early in the 2000s, maybe it wasn't like, I wouldn't say it was like a golden age for much, but like the very clear kind of demarcation of like an action film or a crime film. I don't know. It felt a lot clearer back then. I was thinking that like Sin City came out the year before Smokin Aces, and it's like a very clear kind of like, I think Sin City has like weird similarities to this movie, which I would have to expound more on, but like they kind of strike me as like, if you watch them back to back, not knowing when they came out, you'd be like, these movies definitely came out in the 2000s, you know? And I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but there's something about them that, first of all, is very nostalgic. That's definitely a bias I have, but like, yeah, I don't know.
2006, man. What a fucking great year. What a great year.
Of course.
Great year for music.
Two of the greatest films of all time came out in 2006.
I bought a CD that was called Now This Is Called Hip Hop. Played that shit on loop.
You stepped up to that.
I stepped up to that.
You stomped the air to some of those tunes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good times.
But like, yeah, I don't know. It was a good year. I mean, The Departed came out, obviously. That's big. Smokin' Aces, second best film of that year. Smokin' Aces is only slightly better than Children of Men.
in a genre of toilet films. Yeah, it's right up there. This, Trainspotting.
When people look back on 2006, they'll be like, yeah, The Departed, Smokin' Aces, Step Up 2, Children of Men. Those were the years.
Jesus Christ.
Zodiac. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was an incredible year for one, but yeah.
Well, they didn't have Kraven then, so...
Kraven was not even a twinkle in his mother's eye. Aaron Taylor Johnson was very bad in that, too. Dude. It was one of his worst performances. Yeah. I like ATJ a lot.
They were just like, just shut up, take your shirt off. Like, every other scene, the director's notes were maybe, could you just turn to the side and take your shirt off? Thanks.
You know what? I didn't know either, but just pleasantly found out. He's in Nosferatu.
Oh yes, in the trailer.
He's gonna pop up in. I didn't notice him in the trailer.
That's
though.
right.
He's gonna pop up in Nosferatu, which is fun.
Right.
We haven't seen that yet. By the time this comes out, we will have seen that movie, and it will be good. It will be the Smokin Aces of its year for sure.
only less bad.
Good, less good. Nope, less good.
Less good. Correct.
Lucky Number 11, also 2006, a film we
Fucking
both
hell.
love.
Yeah, dude.
We both love.
Yep. We do.
Film we both love with a great twist that makes perfect sense.
Please lower your gun. I agree. Whatever you say.
So you like this movie?
I was so pleasantly surprised to fall in love with it within like a minute because it opened with Ray Liotta and Ryan Reynolds in a van.
That scene is completely improvised.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, they're dope.
So it's all them.
Reynolds used to fucking be a
good.
thing. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And I remember I turned to you and I was like, I love it already. And it was 30 seconds in.
Yeah.
And then it got crazy. And then immediately Ben Affleck died and I was like, oh, this may be the best movie ever.
You know what? Maybe this is what I was getting at earlier, which is, that thing about Ben Affleck is like a lot of modern action films are like the action itself is boring. Mm-hmm. And I think way too fucking long most of the time. Like they're just the sequences are like okay, Fast and the Furious, right? Those are quintessential modern action films of the day. And they are stupid. Like overall, like a lot of people watch them and they're like, yeah, they're fun but stupid. But like a lot of people also understand that like there's lots of sequences throughout that are fucking dumb. Like the action sequences in those films are fucking
They go to fucking outer space or whatever.
Some of those movies are like, whenever I've seen like the whatever how many of them I've seen, they're the quintessential version of like the way it was pitched was like a director came in and was just like, and then like they might as well have like action figures to show what's happening. Like that's how I think they're
Hot
pitched.
Wheels.
Yeah. No offense to wicked director John M. Chu, but like this movie, I think the action is actually like restrained in ways that make it interesting.
Yeah.
Like it's like kept to this room. There's no like car chases. It's not like the hotel is going to blow up. It's like they're confined to these smaller spaces. The action sequences are a lot shorter. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know. I think that's what this movie works for me is like, it feels like more explosive in a way. And yeah.
Yeah. And it's very clever the way he did it. I think because there's different genres of action, right? There's the like quick sniper, like silent spy stuff. And then there's the fucking brass knuckle, those 3 neo-Nazi type guys.
Yeah.
So he's categorized the type of action into like degrees of craziness.
Yeah. Yeah. And also
it's like a nice dance.
2 of those main action sequences literally take place in the same set. Like he made that hotel like right outside the elevator. It's like you're seeing them as they happen on 2 floors, one above the other.
Yeah.
But in reality, they're filming one and then filming the other. It's like, and it's like, because this movie was made for like $10 million or whatever. So I don't know. It's a type of action I don't think really exists anymore, and I miss that.
Yeah.
Because also like we talk a lot about there's a lot of really John Wick aside. There's a lot of really like kind of bloodless action in like the superhero genre of Fast and the Furious, all these things that are like PG-13 rated. Whereas this movie is like very violent and very intense. And I will say, give Kraven credit, at least it was fucking rated R and it had a lot of that shit in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
When we think of like fight scenes and action, there's this like little known guy, I don't know, Chris Nolan. Tenet had some really good.
Yeah, but
like,
also restrained by things, like it's like it builds up. Instead of having 4 excruciatingly long action set pieces, it builds up to one very long action piece at the end, right? And like Inception is another good example of that where like there are like small scenes in Inception of like very interesting action when the room is turning, right? But you only get a little glimpse of them and they don't have to go on too long because you're just like, that's all you just need a little taste at this moment.
That's it. You know where they take it too far is fucking Doctor Strange. They flipped the whole world. And now they're fighting in the mirror realm.
But we all knew that, though.
It was sick, though. It was cool to behold.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
talk
it.
to Tarantino about it. All right. Thank you for listening, everybody. Watch Kraven at home. It'll definitely be out by now.
Yeah. just make sure you watch it at home. All right, make sure you have lots more people.
Listen, make sure you don't have to watch Kraven.
Look,
like,
if
there's no
I
need,
had to,
yeah.
they have to.
Okay.
So, but I will allow you the grace of enjoying it with
Yeah.
multiple people in the comfort of your couch.
And also, much like Rock and Rolla, I mean, I challenge you, just try to find this movie on streaming, because you can't. You can't find Smokin Aces anywhere.
Fuck.
We had to rent it. But it's a good movie. It's worth your time. It's violent. It's fun. It's crazy.
Hell yeah.
Enjoy it. I've been John.
I've been smoking pre.
Smoking pre. Alrighty
Bye.
then. I've been Tom Holland. Bye.
Okay, Mr. Star.